We welcome you to Power Lunch for a Monday. Back at him again. I'm Bill Griffith. Here are some of the things people will be talking about over lunch today. Surprise! Hilton has increased its bid for ITT just as ITT shareholders prepare to vote on that friendly deal already in place with Starwood Lodging. We will talk live with Hilton CEO Steve Bolenbach coming up in the next half hour. ABC had to cancel coverage of a golf tournament on Saturday because of a one-day walkout by technicians. Is that the end of it, or could there be other shows affected in the future by this NABET walkout? Amanda Grove takes a look at that. And the man who heads the company that makes duct tape told his sales force he would shave his head if they hit his sales targets. Well, the clean-shaven Jack Call of Manco Inc. will join us coming up over the next 90 minutes. But first, to check with Joe Kerner to see what he's working on for Power Lunch this Monday. Joe?
Bill, it's a Monday. Usually we see some mergers. Well, a couple of big deals today, but neither one out-and-out mergers. More asset swaps, one for $1 billion, one for $2 billion. One involving the parent of this network, actually, that we will talk about in just a couple minutes. Back to you, Bill.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much. And also, there will be a State Department briefing, as I mentioned at the end of last half hour, scheduled for any moment now in Washington to address the issue between the Iraq and the United Nations. As promised, the Iraqi government did turn did include one.
Remembering, but November 12th, the vote is actually going to be to replace the board. So you could argue, well, keep us in there, the board of directors, and we will do the right thing. So we started, just to go back, we started at 55. Then ITT came out, remember, and they sold the Knicks and the Rangers. They did some things.
And then they were going to split into three.
Then they were going to split into three. Said $70 a share was the value of that because they were going to buy 30 million shares back at 70. Then Hilton came back at 70 after Bolenbach, of course, said we're not going to raise. Then a judge decided that they couldn't do that split-up plan, ITT, without putting it to a shareholder vote. That's when we got the White Knight bid from Starwood at 82, and now Bolenbach comes back again after saying he wouldn't at $80 a share.
It's not over yet, and it sure is fun to watch.
It is fun.
Thanks.
And this will just keep getting
David Faber with his file just continuing to get thick. And by the way, a reminder, next half hour, we will talk with Steve Bolenbach. He's at the Waldorf in New York. We'll get his take on all of this and what he's got in mind coming up next half hour. Meantime, bit of a rally, isn't it, on Wall Street today? The Dow up 166 points right now. Bob Pisani's at the New York Stock Exchange with all the latest. Bob?
Good afternoon. Well, I note that the volume today is much...
Negotiate.
Welcome back to Power Lunch, everybody. I'm Bill Griffith. Coming up this half hour, Amanda Grove on the labor strife that caused ABC to cancel coverage of a golf tournament on Saturday. Has the issue been settled? Will there be others like it? And we'll talk with the CEO of the company that makes duct tape. Jack Call promised that he would shave his head if the company hit its sales targets. I guess you heard what happened. We'll talk to him later this half hour about that. In the meantime, let's look at what's happening on Wall Street today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average in rally mode. There was a rally in Asia overnight. That seemed to calm the volatility waters that have been roiled all of last week, which you well know about. And in Europe this morning as well. A good rally for many of the markets there. Here's where we stand right now, near the highs of the day. For the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we're up about 174, 175 points. If you tuned in to watch live coverage of the PGA Tour Championship Saturday on 8.
Big enough where we definitely want to talk. We will start with Integrated Health and Health South Rehabilitation. Integrated Health is basically going to buy some of the assets, Bill, that Health South acquired when Health South actually bought CMS, Horizon CMS Healthcare. They didn't really want all of the operations at this point. And Health South is announcing today that it's going to sell all of the Horizon long-term care assets to Integrated Health Services. And that was a stock merger that they did back then. You can see that both companies are trading higher on that news. It's a little bit over $1 billion. I think it's $1.15 billion is what Integrated Health is actually going to pay in cash for Health South's assets and for the assets. And Integrated said it will make it the largest provider of post-acute medical services in the nation, Bill. Okay? So
I would not overlook $0.15 billion. I wouldn't be losing. I wouldn't be losing $150 million.
Yeah, 1.1. No. Yeah, 1.15. The other deal involves General Electric, obviously the parent of this network, and it's kind of interesting. GE, Bill, you might recall, back in 1993, sold its aerospace division to Martin Marietta Corp.
Right.
At the time, we got $3 billion. General Electric got $3 billion. I don't know why I do that. I think of that as the parent of this network so much. Anyway, we also basically General Electric is left now with a big stake in Payne Weber, which is appreciated greatly since General Electric sold Kidder to Payne Weber a couple of years ago.
Tough to keep track of all of the deals.
It is, isn't it? A lot going on.
Yes, there is. Like you wouldn't believe sometimes. Thanks, Joe. We're back talk about the global markets and a lot more on Power Lunch. We're up 153 points right now. Back after this. Covington and Burling joining us from Washington today. One more thing, during our 90-minute special on the market turmoil over the weekend, which I hope you saw, we discussed many of the issues that presented themselves last week, including why small investors were bold enough to buy last Tuesday in the face of all the chaos. Bill Madison, the vice chairman of Gerard Clower Madison, a veteran trader, said, blame it on the media.
You're well known all over America. You weren't 10 years ago. People watch CNBC.
Oh, no.
They read. They do things they didn't do before. They spend a enormous amount of time in front of the internet doing that. You walk into locker rooms and restaurants in California and Florida and Arizona, whatever, and this program is on. I think the investors are much better educated today than they were before. And I suspect, wait a minute, I suspect that when things start to go poorly in the economy, when they see in their world things aren't going well, they're going to sell.
No question, media affect behavior, both good and bad. And I'm willing to admit that the media have affected small investors simply by keeping them informed. I am not, however, willing to accept the contention made by some last week that CNBC should accept some of the blame for the turmoil because we commemorated the 10th anniversary of the crash of 1987 a few weeks ago. If that's the case, isn't someone worried that the History Channel could cause World War III by constantly reminding viewers that World War II occurred more than 50 years ago? Think about it. That's Power Lunch for Monday. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you later. Terry Keenan here now with a preview of what's coming up next hour. Terry?
Thanks, Bill. Wish I had thought of that one. Well, coming up in the next hour of the Money Wheel, we'll be talking with the president of Levi Strauss for